Hi everyone, I'm David from Airfleet, leading here web solutions, security, and DevOps.
Hi, David. So, in plain English, what does website infrastructure even means?
It includes everything from hosting, CDN, DNS management, to the actual application, your website, how it's being built, how it's deployed, third-party integrations, scripts, and more.
Okay. Now, all of that sounds quite technical. Isn't that like a developer thingy? Why would B2B marketers even care about their website infrastructure?
Why would B2B marketing experts care about the infrastructure? Basically, if they don't, so many things can go wrong. Your website is a super important digital asset. There's so many things you need to be aware of and do them right. Otherwise, you can get caught by surprise. An example, you run a campaign and out of the sudden you get a lot of alerts that people cannot reach your website. It's down. Why? You didn't monitor, you didn't know that you don't have enough resources, or you didn't set up a CDN to address speeds issues.
You mentioned CDN here, and we also couple a lot of the time CDN with web application firewall. Can you explain why? Well, first of all, what is a web application firewall? What is a CDN in a high level, and why is that important for the website?
First of all, what is a CDN? A CDN is a solution that serves static files for your website closer to the user geographically. So for example, if your website is hosted in Europe, but your clients coming from US, you want them to get the files fast, and you need to use a CDN. So that's best practice. We use this for all of the websites. On top of that, you have firewalls. So obviously, some actors are not that nice. They try to attack your website. They try to make a lot of requests, which is called a DDoS, to make it to crash it. And for that, you can install firewalls that basically filter those attempts. And you can install rate limits. You can use different advanced tools to prevent bad actors from accessing your website. And all of that is usually part of one bigger solution. So one of them is Cloudflare. The reason we use Cloudflare is also for additional website optimization tools that it offers, or workers, which is essentially small scripts that you can add different logic layers for your website.
You touched there on the security aspect, so I want to jump to the security. When it comes to WordPress, WordPress is known as a high risk and often vulnerable website solution, or CMS. Can you explain why is that, and what are we doing at Airfleet to prevent that?
WordPress being an open source and huge community supporting WordPress core is both a benefit, but also comes with some risks. Also, it's very popular. Around 1/3 of the websites online are using WordPress. So a lot of bad actors are trying to attack and abuse also the fact that it's open source to use different vulnerabilities. That said, there are different ways using WordPress. The way we at Airfleet are using it, we basically strip it from any advanced tools. We build on top of that our own platform that is pretty secure in the way it handles everything from access, from APIs to which configurations you can have, which settings you can tweak. And the end goal is to sort of restrict the end user to do only things that are safe and stable, and also utilize the good and the advanced tools that modern WordPress provides without actually getting into scale issues or other potential security issues.
I know that a lot of the vulnerabilities are coming from third-party plugins. that people often install on their WordPress instance. How do we handle that at Airfleet? And while at it, can you say a few words about the security plugins that we created at Airfleet?
Obviously, whenever you build a website, you don't need to start from scratch for anything. Okay, one of the biggest benefits of having WordPress is access to endless amount of third-party software, which is called plugins. Okay, some of them are free, others are premium. We at Airfleet use a mix of free tools, free plugins, but also some premium ones. For example, WP Rocket for optimization or Magify. We use Yoast for SEO. We have also developed several of our own plugins. One of them is our security plugin. It integrates advanced CSP rules and additional security related tools that are not that popular, but very, very useful and add a great layer of protection to your website. When it comes to maintaining that third-party tools and code, one of the basic rules is to periodically update them. So we run once a month maintenance. We do it on staging first. We make sure that nothing breaks. Obviously, any plugin that you update, there's some risk that it also breaks a functionality. There's so many things to take into consideration: back compatibility and conflicts with other plugins. We also manage a blacklist of plugins that are not recommended, that we saw in the past that have either many vulnerabilities or issues. So there is a lot of hands-on work, and it's important to do it on schedule. Otherwise, you end up having a super outdated website. And keep in mind that each third-party plugin is eventually a door or window into your system.
What's our policy when it comes to implementing or installing third-party plugins?
Our policy for installing third-party plugins is, first of all, we have a list of plugins that we do use and do not use. Usually we don't rush into installing new plugins. Okay, if we have an option to reuse something or even use our own or develop something super dedicated, we would prefer that. If there is a plugin, we check basically its popularity. We look for latest issues. We look for the author of the plugin. Obviously, if it's a single developer, unknown one, it would be a bit risky to install that plugin. Usually also some plugins come as a freemium. The free version is nice. It gives you some features. We can mention WordFence, for example. The free license you can install. WordFence is really great application layer firewall plugin for WordPress. We use it a lot, but the premium ones sometimes cost and add to the budget of your website, and I would consider it only if you really need those extra features or support from the developer.
We talked a lot about security and how to secure and what's important, but what are the actual risks in terms of website security? I mean, most people neglect or at least don't have security on top of their mind. What are the potential risks of not following the security best practices?
The funny thing is that many people don't realize that security and best practices start from the most basic things. Okay, someone does not necessarily need to hack his way into your website to change the homepage and post something very unpleasant there. It would be enough to do some basic social engineering and figure out your password and just log in using your own user into the WordPress website. So for that, for example, we always recommend to enable 2FA, enforce strong passwords, change the custom login path. And when you combine all those layers and all those best practices, it becomes super hard for the attacker to actually make the breach into your website. And there is the saying that in the jungle you don't need to run fast, you just need to run faster than the other guy. And that's basically what you need to do when it comes to security. Okay, you need to secure your website as best as you can, obviously, but user access is number one. Okay, you need to be aware who has access. Maybe people left the company. Make sure to review and remove them. Never give control over assets that people don't need. So always restrict it to the minimum needed. And that's basically the basics, okay, when it comes to user management. In addition, there are so many tools. We mentioned a few, WordFence, for example, which you can for free install on your WordPress website. We mentioned Cloudflare, which is not just a CDN, it's also a WAF. It gives you DDoS protection, gives you a firewall. So all of that combined, and obviously also any source code that you add or a plugin needs to be reviewed, because just like we mentioned, it's a backdoor into your system.
So enough about security. Let's talk a bit about the hosting itself and the infrastructure itself. What's important when it comes to choosing a hosting provider for a WordPress website?
Let's choose a hosting provider for your website. I understand this can be super challenging. Over the past decade, we have been working with multiple vendors, and I think that one of the basic questions you need to ask yourself is, what do I really need to host my website? And it comes down to the understanding of the basic metrics. How many traffic do I have? How big is my website? These kind of things you need to be able to answer on your own, first of all, because some might mislead you to acquire a service you don't really need, and then you end up wasting a lot of time and money. The second question would be, do I have the skill, time, team to manage my own server, or I want to go for a managed host? We like to work with managed hosts, even though we sometimes also set up WordPress on top of Google Cloud or AWS services. A managed host, such as Cloudways, WP Engine, Kinsta, they all offer you basically a package where they say, we manage the server for you, we give you everything you need from backups, free SSL, environments. You can have a staging environment where you can play around, and you have the production, the domain management, everything in one place. You just pay us more. So most cases, if you are a marketing expert, if you manage a website, it's a smart move to not to have to deal with the just the hardware and just go for a managed host. And assuming you already know how much resources you need, how much traffic you have, the size of your website, you can talk to them, provide those details, and figure out more or less which plan works for you best. One more note you need to pay attention to. So even on the managed host services, you usually have to choose between a shared host, where basically you have neighbors on the same server, which is totally fine for small site, and a dedicated hosting, meaning eventually you are managed by them, but you have a dedicated server of your own with no neighbors. You're still on their platform, still on their infrastructure. It usually gives you also better level of support, but be prepared to pay almost 5 to 10 times more to get a dedicated hosting.
We talked about the infrastructure, how to choose an infrastructure, what's important in terms of security, why do we need a CDN and what it does. Now, all of those are, we need to have the correct setup. What are we doing on an ongoing basis to ensure everything is working properly and there are no issues, and just making sure that we are on top of it?
When it comes to making sure that your website is not only built right and set up right, but also stays that way, eventually it comes down to auditing and it doesn't have to be on a daily basis or weekly basis. We recommend a quarterly audit, for example, when it comes down to security, privacy, accessibility, things that don't necessarily change on a daily basis, but also the website is dynamic, the content is changing, you add integration, so you do need to do some auditing, and the auditing should include a checkup list. So we have sort of a checkup list and a report we do per each topic. So if it's, for example, security, so we have a very clear protocol, what we check. We use hands-on pen testing. We include also third-party tools such as Detectify. So we scan the site, we scan the endpoints, we do a user access review, and we do all of that once a quarter. And obviously we also mitigate any found issues, but only then you know that you were not only set up right, but you're still within those boundaries, and you're good, okay? And basically this applies to everything. You can also review your hosting services, you can review your CDN and other setups. You don't need to do it on a daily basis, but please do it on at least a quarter.
What do you need to monitor on a daily basis, and how do we usually do it?
Speaking of monitoring, this is a tricky question because there's so many things going on, and you can monitor practically everything nowadays. Just for example, we use Site 24/7 to monitor for uptime. We use Sneak to monitor the source code itself for vulnerabilities. We use New Relic tools, APM tools to monitor resources on the server, and the list just goes on and on. And I think that eventually it's down to, again, risk assessment, understanding what's your business risks that you want to mitigate. Is it scale and potential crash of the website due to huge load, or it's potential security risks and attacks, DDoS attempts. So you basically should monitor everything, but not everything can be feasible to be monitored. So pick your battles, I would say.
Eventually, there'll be a point where the website is down. Sometimes it's due to the hosting issues or other issues. What would you recommend as a backup plan for the website? Why is that even important? And how marketers should address that?
Let's talk about unpleasant cases when the website is down, and basically anyone should have a plan. Having a plan means you know all the people involved in managing your resources, who has the keys to the website, who has the keys to the DNS, who manages Cloudflare or any other CDN. This is something that is super critical to be defined, first of all. Now, when the website crashes, there's so many different potential reasons. So you need to have someone technical to at least understand, was it due to a code deployment, so you can roll back from a backup and solve the issue. Maybe you're under attack, and in that case on Cloudflare or other CDN services, you can say I'm under attack, and this will basically initiate a very high level of protection, blocking off any bots and IPs that make multiple requests to your website. So I think that having a plan, a map of all your resources and assets is crucial. This is step one. Step two, responsibilities, and saying, okay, these people are responsible for these assets, and an alerting system. So we mentioned before monitoring, this is related. We use Slack notifications, sometimes even SMS, emails. You want to have as many people as possible in different time zones as well to cover most of the day. You never know, but usually issues happen on weekends. No one knows why, but you need to be prepared.
When a marketer is choosing an agency to work on the website, what should I ask to understand that this agency really understand the importance and the potential risk in regards to the infrastructure part?
So when you need to pick your agency, you would like to understand to which level they are aware of all of these issues that we just discussed. And I think a good question is an open question. Like, what's the process? How do you start? How do you work on a website build project? And that can give you a big understanding. Do they focus just on development, or they talk about compliance, about security considerations, about user access, about SEO, CRO? There's so many different things that not many agencies even try to tackle. Some focus only on the basics, on developing a good looking website, period, which is nice, but it's just not enough nowadays. You could also ask them very specific questions. You could ask them about which security layers will you introduce, or how do you prevent potential abuse of WordPress APIs or whatever platform, or in which way do you deploy code? Do you use multiple environments? You can ask questions about SEO as well. So basically you have the main approach should be just let them describe in a nutshell how they build websites and see if they even talk about all those topics.
What would you say is like a one underestimated or underrated tip for marketers when it comes to website infrastructure? Like, what's the one thing every marketer should know about website infrastructure?
If there's one tip that I can give any marketeer when it comes to infrastructure is hold the keys. Always hold the keys. Whatever platforms you open, accounts you create, never give the keys just to the third-party developers or anyone. You need to be the owner of those assets. These assets are super important and critical, both for security reasons, but also they are part of your digital business.